For some reason it won't let me do that. Oh, hang on. Is that showing as in this orientation? It's been a while. It has been a while since I have done a live on YouTube because my channel got hacked, as I know lots of you know. Let me see. Let me bring up, hang on. I'll bring this up on my computer, which I've also got here. And I should be able to see then if you can actually see this, which hopefully you can. And I'll also be able to see the chat, which I've totally forgotten how to do all this stuff. Oh no, so it's still showing sideways. So I'm going to have to, so annoying. I'm sorry folks about this. We're going to have it in this ridiculous orientation. So I'm going to pop that in the clip there. I'll try and go out as far as I can so that you can still see my journal. So I'm sorry about all the kerfuffle. Let's try and get that wire out of the way. Okay, so you're going to be able to see my lap as well by the looks of it, but there's not much I can do about that, I don't think. It is what it is now. This is where we are. So let's just not worry about it, and I think it'll be okay. I think you can still see, hopefully. I'm going to put my water on my, look at my cute little autumn mat that I bought. So I'm going to pop that on there. Let me get the chat so I can see. Oh yeah, hello. Hi Carol, hi Bethany. Hi. Yeah, it's cool to see you. Okay, so I can see the chat, that is good. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And that is all good. I don't know why it's got like, so this has been a while since I've looked at it, and now this chat is like got weird symbols on it, but hopefully hopefully it still means it's working fine. Okay, so this is going to be a November plan with me, so let me know if you guys are actually going to be planning with me while we are doing this together. Let me show you just as an example, because I'm going to use a similar setup as in my my October plan with me. So what I like to do first is a double spread collage, I guess, but it's more meaningful than that. It is an intention setting exercise really for the month ahead, where I'm pulling in themes. I've got keywords on here. I've got a quote on here. I've got some of the stuff that I'm working with basically in this cycle is coming into this thing. So it is a pretty collage, but it has got some practical magic to it as well. And then I'm going to do a just like a calendar page. And then I'm going to be talking about the astrology and the tarot. I'm going to pull some cards from this deck, the Tarot of the Sorceress, for this month, for November, which we're heading very quickly towards next weekend. And then there's going to be an extra spread. So last time I offered a tarot spread as the fourth spread. This time it's going to be something a little bit different. That is how I like to do it. I've got printables that you can download for free if you haven't got them already. I think looking at a couple of the names here, you're also in the Discord. So I have got a Discord server, which I don't think it is linked in the description actually, because because I wasn't that organized. But if you go on, like if you sign up for Moonday Magic, it'll send you the link to join the community if you'd like to do that. But on my website, and I've linked that down below definitely, you can get the printables, which are, where are the printables? Here. Not these are not printables. These are bits of papers and things that I've pulled out for my collage. So I've printed them out in two different versions. I've printed them out on A4 on sticker paper. I've already used a couple of these because I've already started setting up the astrology and tarot spread. If you are here, can you just let me know in the chat that you can see what yeah, Carol's downloaded the printables. Thanks, Carol, from the description. Perfect. So you found them. So that's working. Thanks, Carol. It's really reassuring. And these are the other couple of pages. I've also printed them out in like 2 to a sheet as well, because I like to have them in like bigger format and smaller format so I can use the stickers. And I also wanted to be able to share with you about the theme, which This month, the theme is bones and marigolds. So, oh, thanks, Deborah. Thank you. You can see me and hear me. That is very reassuring indeed. I know you can like see my belly as well by here. So that is, that is a bit strange, but it's just because I think you can set it up so that it's like, it's in the different orientation, but I just, yeah, I couldn't figure out how to do it. I was like farting around with it, which is why I was a couple of minutes late starting. So there. Oh, it's hard to hear me. Oh dear, that is a bit of a problem. I don't know if I can do anything about that because my microphone is on. Can I turn it up? Let's see if that will make any difference. Okay, so this month's theme, bones and marigolds. So what I like to do for my themes, I do like to pick aesthetic themes, themes that I'm going to enjoy, you know, using in my journal, but I also want those themes to be meaningful. So I use the astrology of the month to, oh, thanks guys, you can hear me fine, that's good to know. I want to use the astrology to inform me of what the theme should be. So this month is bones and marigolds because there's, you know, November is Scorpio season. It's the second part of Scorpio season. And so we have got that kind of deep excavation work going on, but we've also got a lot of other planets in Scorpio season. So even though it does finish in this month, there's other planets still going through it. We're still having like that activation happening in Scorpio. So that's why I wanted that kind of like deep ancestral vibe. And also November is traditionally a time, you know, in many places of the world where it is a time for remembering ancestors. If you haven't already downloaded Kindred's magazine as well, there's a free code to download that. If you have a look on my Instagram, Jessica and the Moon on Instagram with little dots in between it. There's a code to download the magazine, which has got lots of, it's got lots of actually good things you could use in your journal as well, pull out and stick in and all that kind of stuff. Hey KJ! So yeah, bones and marigolds, because of that kind of like excavation. The bones are like the structure as well, like the skeleton. We have got Saturn stationing direct in this cycle as well. I'll talk properly about the astrology when we get to that part of the video. But yeah, I just want to kind of explain my thinking behind that. But you know, you can also read it. If you've got the printables, you can read it, which will probably be more coherent than what I'm doing here. Yeah, Deborah just downloaded it. That is cool. Yes. So the first part of when you download the toolkit, this is only the like last part of the toolkit that I printed, because the first section is like general information about getting a journal set up, especially if you want to use your journal as a spiritual practice, which is kind of like what I do here. You know, that's what a lot of my work is around. And then each month I do I change up the second part of the printables so that they are useful for you in that month, with things like stickers and yeah, like headers and things like that. So there's a description there anyway about this bones and marigolds theme. Marigolds again are like traditionally used for like a remembrance of the dead. You know, they're a flower that does blend the living and the dead together. So, and they're also one of my personal faves. So that is why I have chosen those themes. And like I say, yeah, the bones are the stuff that's like left when we've taken all the rest of the stuff off there. It's like like that's why we say like bare bones and stuff like that, don't we? So yeah, so that is what we have got as our theme. I've got my new journal, which is an Archer and Olive journal that I got from, I ordered via Under the Rowan Trees here. This is brand new. I haven't started. I literally just opened it. I did a little like a little video on Instagram earlier where I opened it. I haven't filled any of it in yet. I've just made some notes of what is going to be going on some of these pages. But I'm going to be starting November like right here in my journal. So I'm going to rub out that little November because I don't want that to be on there. I just wanted it as a little reminder that that is what I was going to be doing. I like to make tabs in my journal, so I'm going to cut along here. I'm also going to cut the other side actually as well, because I want that to also be inwards of the journal. I pretty much cut all of my pages apart from the ones that I want to stick out, if that makes sense. So straight in on my new journal, snipping it to bits. Yeah, it is pretty. I did kind of like panic buy a little bit because I ran out of space in my existing journal much sooner than I thought that I was going to, which I know sounds bonkers because obviously you can see how many spreads are left. But I know as some of you know here, I've been having quite a bit of a emotional time of it lately with my grandmother being in, like, she's been moved into palliative care, and so we have been sort of with her a lot. So I'm kind of a little bit more discombobulated, I suppose, than usual, less grounded than usual, and grounding is like is kind of my thing, so I do like to be more grounded. I also bought a couple of washies from Under the Rowan Trees as well, which you'll probably see me using this spread. Which ones are the new ones? Let's have a look. It was this one and this one of them which wasn't appropriate for this season, but I thought this one would also be kind of cute for it as well. So the colours I'm going to go with are going to be very similar to what I've got here. I'm going to use black. I've got this like kind of like browny orange, which is the Tombow 947, and I've also got my Tombow 026, which is kind of like a goldy orangey colour as well. I'll swatch the black next to it as well so you can see. So it's quite like a high, oh hang on, let me grab a different black. That one is not, yeah, all of my blacks seem to do this. I think probably because I use them a little bit more than my others, they tend to get a little bit, bleh. Oh, thanks Nicole. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm starting to get back into feeling like when I don't do like all of my stuff, like my spiritual practice and things like that, I really need it as like to anchor me. I think especially like being autistic as well definitely helps me to have like those sort of structures, and when I get out of that I find it really disorientating. So I'm trying to get back into, you know, anchoring myself back into my practice. I've kept it, but it's been like I've been doing a lot more like ancestor work and things like that rather than exactly like my sort of day-to-day practice. So let's get started with this collage. Are you guys doing it as well along with me? I pulled some bits and pieces out. So I've got this, which I think was out of last year's Earth Pathways. I've got this little piece of paper, which I'm not sure if I am going to use that one. I've obviously got the printables, and I found this gorgeous page in a magazine of this really bright like autumn colours, and I quite like this colour as well, which is why I pulled that out, even though that's just an ad. And I also got some like black paper and some of this like black and grey paper. I might have to get up and let Frodo out because he's decided he wants to go now. So maybe I'll do that quickly while I'm before I get started. Go on then, but don't have to come back in, okay? Right. So let's start laying out this collage. I hope you can see it all okay, because I know it's difficult in this like orientation. It's a bit annoying, but that's what we have got here at the moment. I did have a really good setup for these where I had like a face to camera situation and a like camera down situation going on, and I was swapping between the three, but that just felt like that felt like too much today. I was like, I can't remember how to do all that, and I'm going to be overwhelmed if I do that, so that's not going to happen. Do you know, I think I'm going to just go in and put like one whole piece down on each page for this to sort of start it off, and then like layer it up from there, so keep it really like simple. I'm gonna need to cut this one. Okay, just find those edges. I can trim it all a bit more neatly afterwards. It was actually my nan, the one who's, well, she's my only like living grandparent. She actually turned 96 this week now, so we had a birthday party for her yesterday, which was really lovely because, like, you know, we none of us thought that she was going to still be here for her birthday, so that was really nice to be able to do that. She wasn't able to get out of bed, but we just took the party to her, so we were oh, Nicole. Oh yeah, Nicole, is it is in the journal resources thread in Discord, but it's also linked with this video as well, so it should be anyway. If you go underneath this video, you'll be able to find the journal resources, so you can just print them out. So yeah, we were like singing and playing, like quite a few people in my family play instruments and things, so we were all like squished into a room doing that, which was nice. Yeah, that's how it is now. Like, it is nice, like every moment we get to spend with her is like a bonus because of that, but it is it's also like sad, you know, like there's sadness there as well, because we know it's, you know, it's not going to, that we are gonna, you know, lose her. And like I very much believe that when we die, that's not the end of it, you know. And I do know that I will continue to have a relationship with her after she has died, like I have with my other grandparents, but I also will miss her in her, it is different when people cross over from the physical form, isn't it? You know, there is something, it is a different sort of relationship once they are in that ancestor realm, rather than being in this sort of physical realm, if you see what I mean. I know you guys here understand what I'm talking about. So yeah, keeping it really simple, but also like, this is interesting to me actually, because I find when I'm making these collages, there's almost like there's like information in this as well, in that I've chosen here like very like opposing colours, so we have got that kind of like light and dark that is going on, which, to be honest, definitely feels like on point for how this month, I'll trim that off in a second actually. I think I'll carry on layering stuff up for a minute. It does feel on point for how this month is feeling for me. So I'm going to run some of this washi across the 2 pages just to tie it together a little bit. There's a little bit squiff. It's not going to bother me. I think it might, so I'm going to relay that one down. Okay, that's a bit better. And let's see what else I'm going to include on here then. So I've got this, I mean, I really love this image, which was one of the ones I wanted. It's called so I think this is Honouring the Moon, and I think this is Drum to the Moon by Lucy Tipper. So I feel like I do want that. I'm gonna like try and make this a more organic edge. I suppose actually what I've done here as well, by putting this on the left hand page and then having the black on the right hand page, is that without kind of really thinking about it like that, that's the transition, isn't it? It's like at the moment the leaves are turning and they're still hanging on, and now we've got the, you know, the sort of darkness, the dark part of the year, certainly here in Wales. I've got like lights on all around me, so hopefully you can still see everything, but it's starting to get dark already here now. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Nicole. Yeah, it makes a difference, doesn't it? Sometimes just like little things can make it start to really pop out. So I want to use some of the stuff from the printables as well. I definitely want to use this quote, this Rumi quote, which I chose. So I'm gonna I'm going to cut that out. I don't think I'll stick any of this down until I sort of like futzed around with it a little bit and that's the only thing with this like diffuse paint kind of effect, which I like and have been using for the quotes, is when it's on a more stark background, it can shows a little bit too much of the white. So next weekend we have got, in theory I was going to be doing a full moon ritual at 5 at like this time next weekend. I'm not going to do that next week because we've got our like our kind of Samhain, I suppose, ritual, which is happening at 7 o'clock, so like 2 hours later. I'm going to take this November. So I know like it'll be too much to do both. And the Samhain ritual will be lovely. If you would like to come to that, then the information for that is all on my website as well. It's free to come. I do still need one reader as well, so if you do fancy reading, then you can volunteer for that as well. I think I'm going to take this for... Oh yeah, Tanya. Yeah, I was like the last couple of months I've been going for like more of a watercolor vibe, but I was feeling something a little bit more stark this time. And it's just on point as well, isn't it, with November. I think that'll be nice. A nice little something here. So it's starting to kind of layer up now. I'm wondering about including the actual poem as well. I might. So it's called Honouring the Moon by Teresa Cassidy. I will. I'm not sure where yet though. Obviously goes colour wise much more with that because it's the same art, but I kind of do want to match these two, you know, like not match, but like blend these two pages into each other a little bit more. So I'll have a think about how I want to do that. I have also got some of this, which I can use. I think that's going to be too, I don't know, maybe I do want to use a bit of that on this page. Take a little bit of the black over there. Yeah, okay, so that's kind of layering up quite nicely. That glitter is a bit extra, but kind of nice. Yeah, and of course in these principles also go well with the ancestor work study group that Carol is doing in November. Yes, Carol, that's a good point actually. For Carol's leading an ancestry group, going deeper into some of the, there's like it seems like the last few years has been a really good more interest, because I really feel like in like Western culture in general, our practices, well, for all kinds of life transitions, of which death is obviously you know, a major one of those. But for like birth, death, menarche, menopause, for marriage, for like kind of crossing into different parts of your life, we, like, humans have been marking these with some sort of ceremony for a really long time, and that is because it helps us when we do that. When we have ceremony, it helps those transitions to be more smooth, and it helps us to move from one place to another, I suppose. And there's been a real lack of that in like Western culture for a long time, because, you know, when we had like the Enlightenment and stuff, and you know, the science and everything, we got into, we sort of thought this spiritual stuff doesn't really matter anymore, you know. And then ceremony got pushed out because it's like, it was pointless. There was no reason for it. It doesn't make any sense to be doing this stuff, and we've lost so much because of that, and that is really sad. So, and also like harmful, I suppose, you know. It is like something that we are lacking, and that is something very much like I feel like I'm trying to bring back. You know, that's what I try to do with my work, is to reinstate those ceremonies, and not in a way of like trying to reenact ceremonies, you know, that from the past kind of thing. It's about meaningful ceremonies for those transitions now. It's not about kind of like trying to reconstruct stuff from the past. And yeah, so I feel like the ancestor work is so powerful for bringing back that sense of marking, I suppose, marking of that passage that we don't necessarily have at the moment. I'm fully decided where I'm going to put all those. Let's have a look what else I want to include from the printables as well. I want to have some of these keywords. Oh, not that. That's not my keywords. Got too many things on my desk already. Here we go. So this is where the keywords are. So I've got foundations, ancestry, structure, remembrance, excavation as keywords. I don't know if I will use all of these or if I will choose some. So I'm going to cut them up separately. So I definitely want ancestry. Get that. You might find that certain ones will speak to you, and if like they don't, then you can, you know, feel free with all of this to figure out what it is that you actually need or want in this cycle. You might want completely different things. I definitely want remembrance. So I'm gonna get that one. I don't want foundations. Where's this black come from? I obviously printed some of that black pen on myself. I think excavation. Excavation is what I'm going to go for. Very Scorpio keywords. Okay, so this is starting to take some shape now. Obviously need something here, and I actually run, I think I might run some washi down here to kind of blend that edge in before I stick any of these things down. So what have I got? Oh, this is quite nice. I'm flapping bits off now. Come back. I want you. So this washi is like a spider web with kind of orangey spiders on this. So even though I'm not doing like kind of webs, I do find that webs is in keeping with these themes. Don't want to lose that. Stay there. Okay. That's better. Yeah, so I'm gonna stick down some of these things now, and then I can work around it. Also, because do I tie my monthly theme with my Moonwise work? So what I've been doing over the last 3 or 4 months and moons is I use my monthly theme to kind of dictate my colour palette and my like just the kind of aesthetics, I suppose, of my journal. But my actual like goal planning and yeah, I suppose my goal planning, how I like to live my life, is by the moon cycles. So I'm using this as like a mainly like as aesthetics, and then using the moon cycle still as like my flow for the months, if that makes sense. So I'll show you an example actually. Let me just stick this excavation on, and then I'll show you how I've been doing it over the last few cycles. Because it is like, you know, we live in a world which doesn't follow the moon cycles, you know, like we do, but most people don't. And so a lot of things are organised by like the month rather than the moon cycle. So I do find it helpful to have like a monthly planning cycle as well as like a monthly planning cycle. But certain things like goal planning definitely work better when you do them with the moon. So let me show you. So this was August. That was my collage, and then my spreads that I did for August, and then I carried on. So I carry on this colour palette then through the month. So even though I'm working then with my Moonwise stuff, like this is my Moonwise, and if you like, for those who don't know, if you're here thinking like, what is she talking about? Moonwise is my like journaling membership that I have, where we talk about this like kind of planning with the moon and things like that. So it looks seamless. It looks like, well, I think it looks pretty seamless how that flows colour wise through the month and the moon together. But then when I get to September, and the colours palette has changed a little bit and the theme has changed a little bit, and then that will have an effect then on what my Moonwise looks like aesthetically, but it doesn't have an effect on on how I do it, I suppose, is what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. So I still bring in the things from Moonwise, but I also keep the colours the same, I suppose, is what I'm saying. I can hear Frodo now trying to get back in. So yeah, that was last month, and then, well, the month before last, September, and then October, this was my calendar. The astrology and astro. I still haven't done my spread yet, so I need to go back and do that. A couple of these weeklies, and then some of my Moonwise journaling stuff. I still need to do some of these spreads I haven't finished. Like I said, things have been kind of busy for me. And then I haven't set up my I haven't finished filling this in yet. So I've started filling in my field notes, but I haven't finished doing my goals and plans and things yet. So I need to do that this weekend as well. And yeah, now I flowed into this book, and I find like it's not confusing in practice. It seems to work really well in practice. So I just try not to kind of get too concerned about it, and just let it flow and take shape. I'm thinking about using one of these big, I think I might use that on here. I suppose what I get out of it is that when I'm like flicking back through my journals, it's like I can see the months, but I can also like dip back into the months as well. Although the moon work is more like practical, it's like I do it and then I don't need necessarily to look back on it so much. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I think like you do find your own cycle with it when you keep doing it. And that's what I like now, is like with the monthly planning, like we're going to do here, I'm just doing off road, is really trying to get back in again now. He probably just wanted to go out, so maybe I will let him back in. What I find is that I like to have like the calendar, to have like a month calendar, because you know that's how most of my like a lot of my like commitments and stuff are calendar based, like with the kids and things like that. But then with my personal like goals and things like that, that is more monthly based. So yeah, I let it flow with that. Let me just let Frodo back in, even though I said I wouldn't. Come on then. What have you been up to? He was sad, so I've let him back in. I might put these as well, actually. Oh, thanks, Nicole. So, yeah, maybe I do want some like smaller ones, or maybe just some colour. Maybe some colour and some. Yeah, I should have put that on first, shouldn't I? I don't know if I can lift this up and stick that down again after. I might be able to. Yeah, okay. Just feel like I needed a little bit of colour over here. Running out of this glue stick. Okay, and then I think like yeah, so that's quite nice laid on there now. Yeah, okay. I'm definitely going to want, I might have a look in my, I've got a couple of sticker books as well, which have still got a few bits and bobs in them. I might want want to dig into as well. There was some like more anatomical kind of stickers in here as well. Sorry, this is the Sticker Studio Apothecary sticker book, which is, as you can see, been very well used. I probably should get a new one. But some teeth. The colours are not really quite what I'm looking for. I could have used those last. Well, we're still in October. Maybe I can use a couple of them in my October. I have to remember that they're there. Oh, hi Trish. Nice to see you. We're just doing some journaling for November. I'm looking for some stickers that I might want to use. But maybe the printables are going to be better because these colours are not what I'm looking for. I quite like that pumpkin sticker though. Maybe that could work. Yeah, it's not loving it, but it is. Well, it's there now. What else have we got? Anything else that is going to be good? Maybe that eye in a bottle. I'm trying to kind of like have some of this sort of anatomical type stuff going on, like kind of like bones and bits of body kind of things. Yeah. Maybe that hand with the eye as well. And that'll probably be enough kind of random colour. Yeah, I think I might like draw on some of that to get like to add a bit of texture to that bit. And then let's see. Maybe that. Maybe these actually. Let me cut those out. Oh, you're not behind though, Trish. We've still got, like, it's next weekend, isn't it? So we've got plenty of time. But I just wanted to get prepared really, because it helps me feel a bit calmer, and I definitely could use some of that at the moment. So yeah, I wanted to get my November setup done. It's just my title page at the moment. My title collage. Yeah, so that's nice. I actually need to trim that other page as well, so that's going to have to happen. So I get the tab, and I'll maybe stick a bit of washi on that. Let's put this on. And I'm going to put a bit of washi here. I've got this, like, it's a bit too orange really, but it is very like autumnal, and it's sort of see-through, so it won't be too like visible. Okay, I'm going to cut this bit off. Nice. This one keeps lying up a little bit. I think I want to... Oh, what's going on there? Right. Take that. I don't know, maybe it'll be okay. I'm going to leave it there. I will corner around all of that. I think what I'm going to do, I don't know how wild is this colour going to be? A gel pen just to make it so it's not quite as stark. Yeah, okay, that's quite cute. Probably do some things on the bottom as well. Have I got another? What other gel pens have I got? Got this kind of goldy colour. I think I remember this doesn't work for a while. Oh, I had like this copper. That's evading me at the moment. So yeah, this one doesn't want to work properly either. It's annoying. It kind of is coming out, but just not showing up very much. So I'll kind of lift this back a little bit. Put it down here as well. Yeah, that's coming out a bit better now. There. Okay, so I think I need that gel pen to dry down now. I kind of, that sticker sticking up is bothering me. I might put a bit of PET tape over the top of it, but I haven't got one really that is in the right colourway. I'm sure I did have one that's like autumnal though. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Here. I might run this down over the top of it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's fine. That's good. I'm going to call that done. And let's do the calendar. Okay, so I'm going to do the calendar in, I think in this like kind of brownie. No, I'm not. I'm going to do the gold. So I have mapped it out already. Like I said, I'm using a B5, so it's a bit bigger. I do like 7 across and 9 down for my calendar, and it starts on a Saturday, November. So I'm going to be starting all the way over here. I'm just using the Tombow on the side to get like a thicker brush line so it fills the spaces. I can't believe it's November already. Well, it's not, but you know what I mean. Nearly November. Starting to think about like next year and plans for that. I'm also trying to be like, keep it kind of chill at the moment, so as to not to stress myself out. Okay, so I think across the top I am gonna, I'm gonna rub out calendar, because I know that's my calendar now, because I can see it. I think I'm gonna use this. It's a really nice washi, this. I made a bit of a messy end there. I probably should have taken it all the way to the edge of the calendar, but I'm going to tidy that up after. I probably would stick a sticker there anyway, so I don't think that's going to matter. I do want to write the days on. Maybe I will use, what's the colour for that? I use that to do the numbers as well. There, and I'm going to use this other black one, I think, to, I don't know, I think that's going to be too dark. So what then? This? Maybe this. This is a new one, which is not wanting me to start it. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. I want a nice big November to go on here. Use one of them. Okay, I'm going to want some stickers because I need to cover up that weird end that I did. Maybe that skull could go there. Tidy up that end with that. Yeah, that's great. That's fun. Don't know where I'm going to stick that yet. I'll stick that skull on there because I'm definitely going to stick that there. I want like a, look at this jar of skulls and lights, skulls and fireflies maybe. I wasn't quite sure what it was. But I thought the colours were good, which is why I went for it. So we'll do it like that. Yeah, okay, so because of the way that the month has worked out, I have got like this extra space here. I also need to trim. Let me trim that actually now. And hopefully with this arch and olive, which it will be consistent, because when I had my last journal, my Dingbats journal, which for some reason still makes me laugh, it just wasn't consistent, like the edges weren't consistent, so it made my journal kind of jagged as well, which is annoying. I'm going to cut this single, like supposedly marigold head. It kind of is a little bit marigoldy. I'm not sure all of them are like botanically correct. It's like mainly images from Canva that I've used to make the printables. I feel like I want to stick a flower on there. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Cute. Yeah, so we've been almost an hour, but we are halfway through it. We're kind of more than halfway through really, because there's going to be, maybe I should put a spine down there. That probably makes sense, wouldn't it? Both of these big ones actually could go down here. I'll get the kind of long to fill this gap. There we go. So maybe that, and then this at the bottom. Is that weird? I don't know. Maybe like that and like that. But I want that one to be straight really, because that's, yeah, maybe I'll stick that one straight and that one on a slight angle. Maybe needs a little something behind it. Yeah, maybe I need to stick like a little bit of orange. I'm just gonna needed a little bit of like something behind it, so that is what it's got. No worries, Tanya. Hope you enjoy your dinner. There we go. So that's the calendar page. So we've got title page, calendar page. Okay, so now we're on to the astrology and tarot. So I've been doing like a written forecast, astrology forecast, gosh, for like maybe even 2 years now. But I've changed up a little bit how I've been doing it, and hang on, I can drop the link for that into the chat if you want to go and have a look at it, because the way that I've done it now is to make it much more practical for you, so that if you want to hopefully you'll let me share that. I've obviously signed in. When I opened a separate account because I wanted to have like a backup account for my channel. So that is me, Divine Feminine Wisdom. That's my other account where I'm like storing things as well, so I don't get the same issue as I had if anything ever happens with my channel again. I'm hoping that that's kind of like safety net for that. But yeah, the astrology forecast is intended to be more practical, so you can go through and kind of figure out like which parts of the astrology are like really jumping out for me. So overall, November, let me bring it up in front of me so I can see what it says. So like it's partly like a continuation of some of the stuff from October, but we have got quite a few planets retrograde in November, so there's that kind of like redoing, kind of excavation kind of feel about it as well. Obviously we have got that ancestral remembrance type themes going on as well, because it is November. So there's a whole bunch of like information about that. I've got all of the transits at a glance then for you, so if you are into the astrology you can go through and see like the actual transits that are happening in this cycle. And then when I've got down to the themes, I've split them into themes with like key questions or resonance questions, I've called them. So you can read the resonance questions and feel like, is this theme something that is relevant to me? Is this something that is like picking up stuff in my life at the moment? And then I've put like micro practices, so like kind of very bare bones, no pun intended, practices for dealing with those themes. And then an actually like more substantial ritual if you want to do something to really work. The micro practices are just as deep. It's just they're kind of like they're regular small things, or the ritual is like a one-off bigger thing for each of those. So the first theme that I've identified is we've got this repeating grand water trine, and this is again something that started in October, but we are carrying on with some of that in November as different planets are coming through and like pinging that grand water trine. So I've called that waves of emotional integration. Like when we have water in astrology, the same as in tarot, is to do with our emotions. It's to do with our like our feelings, our sense of safety as well. It's very much connected in with like our bodies as well, and how we feel safe in our bodies in a different way from earth, which is like our kind of like the physicality of our bodies. The water is like our emotional body. And so when this grand trine is getting pinged, it's picking up the 3 water signs in the zodiac. So it's picking up Cancer, because we've got Jupiter retrograde in Cancer in November. And so Jupiter exalted in Cancer is really like expanding those ideas of like home, ancestry, family, those kind of themes. And then we've got sorry, I'm losing my thread of where I am going through here. We've got Pisces, which is having a lot of action for a while now, with like the nodal stuff that has been going through there. The nodes have been there, well, you know, one of the nodes has been there, and we've had Neptune and Saturn going, like they've been in Pisces and they went into Aries, and then they've dropped back into Pisces. So Pisces has got this like activation going on, and Pisces is one of the signs that is about, well, it's the last sign of the zodiac, and it's very much about our kind of our spiritual life, really, how we understand the greater kind of the bigger picture, that very zoomed out picture of like the universe, I suppose, those kind of like universal feelings. It's connected with the collective unconscious, things like that. So those are like a longer running. So we've got that Pisces Cancer stuff is like a longer running thing. And then with the planets going through Scorpio, so we've had like Mars going through Scorpio, Mercury going through Scorpio, the sun now going through Scorpio, we're going to have Venus going through Scorpio. There's so much, so many planets like coming through that, and then forming this trine with these other two things. So it's bringing Scorpio, which is very much connected with our our deepest, darkest kind of parts of ourselves, sometimes secrets, sometimes like shadow work kind of stuff with Scorpio as well. So it's that kind of like deep emotional stuff that is very tempting to just be like, I'm going to ignore that. But this month is really like asking us, and like a Scorpio month every time, you know, every year we come around to this, but so much more so this time, emphasized because of this trine that's being pinged each time. So it's bringing those three themes together. It's bringing those kind of like secrets, deep dark secrets, family, and this like kind of greater sense of all that is together. So like for me, this is bringing up things like maybe like ancestral trauma, stuff like that, maybe like family secrets, things like that, and how they affect you and how they affect how you see yourself in that bigger picture, in that kind of Pisces bigger picture stuff. So that is one of like the big themes that is coming up in this month. And so I put that down, like for me, I feel like that's definitely on point, you know, with the stuff with my grandmother and with that grief and loss and that kind of stuff. But it's also an opportunity to think about things like ancestral patterns, like things that are handed down. It's like, do I want this? Do I want to be taking this baton, you know? do I want them to pass this particular baton to me? Is like things like always putting yourself last, you know, it's like the kind of cliched stuff in a lot of ways, but I feel like it is definitely being pinged for me in this cycle. But what I've also done, and if you know more about astrology, you'll be able to do this as well, is I've looked at the houses for me personally in my chart. So for me, it's picking up my 2nd, my 10th, and my 6th. So I've brought those themes into it for me as well. So if you know that, you can layer that in as well. I've tried to do that for you a bit in the horoscopes, which are at the bottom of this article, so you can go through and read your horoscopes a bit as well, even if you don't, if you can't apply that bit yourself. I know quite a few of you here are doing the Astrology Foundations course, so if you can't do it now, you'll know how to do this soon. But it brings in a kind of deeper, not a deeper level, just like another level of it, so you can look at it in a few different ways then with that. So that is one of the big themes. Let me just check the chat because I've just started rambling and didn't know what was going on. Oh, hey. I'll see you, Nicole. Oh, Carol, I'm glad you're loving the new change. I'm assuming you mean with the astrology forecast. I hope it's helpful, because I was just feeling like, you know, there's thousands of astrology forecasts, you know, that you can read, and I was like, how do I make this like more useful? And so this is how I'm trying to approach that. So I hope that it is useful. Yeah, so that's the one major theme. So I've made a note of that waves of emotional integration. And then the second theme I've identified is this retrograde tide. So the planets, like so many planets are retrograding in this month, you know. There's a lot of backward, I mean, they're not actually going backwards, but it looks like they're going backwards to us on Earth, you know. So it's like we're getting that kind of backward movement. We've got Mercury retrograde, we've got Jupiter retrograde, we've got Saturn retrograde, we've got Uranus retrograde, we've got Neptune retrograde. So it's only Venus, Mars and Pluto that aren't. I mean, obviously the Sun and Moon as well, but they never go retrograde. So it's like there's a lot of this like looking back rather than like pushing forward. And I feel like what this is trying to get us to do is, instead of like trying to like soldier on to like kind of like force our way through, to like literally like plow our way through it, it's like I'm not going to kind of let this stuff hold me back. What it's wanting us to do, if we're going to go with the energy instead of trying to fight against the energy, is to try and cut back, to look back, to maybe decide, what is it that I, maybe like looking at goals for the year. Perhaps I'm going to be working on redoing, oh gosh, I've got so many bits and papers around here. I'm going to go back through Vision Your Year personally to kind of look at what my goals and things have been, and which ones I've been you know, like that I've achieved, which ones are kind of like no longer relevant. But I'm also going to be actually like going back through and updating this for 2026 as well, so that it's hopefully even more helpful for next year as well. So I've got both of those things that I'm thinking about doing in terms of this retrograde. It'll be a really good time to be going back over stuff, and I've suggested some knot magic for that as well on there if you want to have a go with that. And then the other theme is just basically that kind of Scorpio season intensity, which is ongoing until, you know, definitely until we get to that new moon, which is very close to the end of Scorpio. On the 20th, I think it is, the new moon. The full moon is opposite in Taurus, as they always are, you know, like they're in opposite signs. So we've got that kind of like earthy Venus sign of Taurus, and then we've got that Mars, but deep emotional sign of Scorpio being pinged with the moon cycle as well in this. And Mercury retrograde is really, really close to that new moon as well. So there's a lot of, I feel like there's a really good opportunity for us to bring things back up in a way where we can have more, like a bit more distance from them in a way, and a little bit more holding it in space so that we can actually see what is going on rather than being like overwhelmed by it. And then start to, as we move forward and we start to move into Sagittarius season, we can be like, we can actually heal, you know, part of that healing process. So rather than kind of like stuffing things down and being like, oh, I'll deal with that again, it's like this is the opportunity to kind of like rummage through some of those closets, you know, look under those rugs and do that kind of that work. Perhaps that might be with support of somebody else. Perhaps it might be like with support of ancestors as well. Like you might want to do that. Perhaps your ancestors are some of the stuff that you're doing the work around, you know, is finding the right way that's going to be supportive to you, so that it doesn't make you feel battered. It actually helps you to feel stronger and more whole than that. And like remembering that trine that we've got going on there, it's really supportive energy, you know, between these three signs, these watery signs. So there's a really strong healing energy flowing through this month. It might not feel it's not so much like fun. It's probably not going to feel fun, but it will feel like cathartic and healing. You know, we've got that opportunity in this cycle. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know how that lands for you. Like, how do you feel about those themes? Are those themes, do any of those themes in particular like call to you, or are you thinking, you know, what you're going to be working with in this cycle? Let's get the tarot out and let's pull some cards as well. So I've started to fill in this spread because I wanted to put some of the themes down for me first of all as well, and I also wanted to just show you basically what I do with this page. So I like to make a note of like the themes I feel like are pertinent for me, and then also like how those things are impacting with my personal astrology as well. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying those themes. Yeah. So, and then I want to, like, I pull some cards and I stick a photograph of the cards in here as well. So I'll do this reading. It's like, it is going to be like a collective reading for all of us. I'll make a note of that here then in my journal. I won't fit it in while you're here because it's going to be boring for you to see me just like filling that in. But then I do also like to leave some space to reflect as well. So I will come back and like look at that stuff afterwards. So what have I done with that tarot deck? Everything's getting covered with bits of paper and whatnot in here. Why can't I open this? Oh, it's because it's the top. Okay. So this is the Tower of the Sorceress. This deck was gifted to me by COSIEST here on YouTube. A complete surprise when she sent it to me. And a couple of other lovely decks as well. I just thought with the like black and white and slightly like gold imagery, it's like on point. I did think of my Marigold Tarot because I've also got the Marigold Tarot, which would be very, and like maybe I will use that as well in this month because both of those decks are very in keeping with this energy. So I'm going to pull 3 cards. One of them for like the sort of general energy of the month. And then one for like things that we can be focusing on for the month, and then one for things that we maybe want to avoid in this cycle. So I haven't used this deck for a while, so I want to make sure it is very well shuffled. They are kind of stiff, so it's tricky to riffle them even like in a waterfall type way. feels good. Okay, so let's have a look. What is the energy this month? Oh, okay, so lovely. That's nice, because I seem to be pulling like tens of tens and fives and things like that, which is not so lovely. So we've got the Nine of Earth, which straight away is making me think of that Taurus full moon as well. We've got that gorgeous earthy Taurus energy coming through this month. Nine of Earth, Nine of Pentacles. It's that kind of like almost completion of the cycle, but kind of that point in the cycle where you just feel really like you can see how far you've got, and also there can be some resting, which I think is going to be really important with all of this integration work that's going to be happening in this cycle. And there can also be like a sense of like gratitude, but also like congratulation of self, you know, like sort of noticing what it is that you've achieved in this cycle, because quite often the temptation is to focus on all the stuff I haven't, you know, that we haven't done. It's like, oh, I didn't do this, didn't do that. So the fact that this is the energy that is going on is like got that kind of like supportive, earthy, just nourishing kind of restful energy as well. I love that there's like this table set up here with like the candle. It looks like kind of like an altar table, and we've got this gorgeous like the pentacle above that. It's like protecting the energy, so it's got this like protective, nurturing, supportive energy, which is just like, that's beautiful for this cycle. So what should we be focusing on? Oh my gosh, and we've got Eight of Earth, so we're just stepping backwards. Like these were shuffled beforehand, and obviously you saw me shuffle them as well here. So what we're focusing on is like, in order to kind of like get to this point and make the most of this kind of energy, we need to be doing that kind of nurturing work in ourselves. Like the Eight of Pentacles is about that kind of like mastery, isn't it? It's about keeping on working at something to get the results that we want. It's like we are quite deep into this year now, you know, we're getting into the last couple of months of the year, but it is not too late to still do some of the stuff, you know, to still see some growth, to see some results come. And like, I don't mean that in a, like a kind of toxic productivity kind of way. I mean it in a, what is it that you wanted to be taking from this year? What is it that you think, I want to make sure I finish this by the end of the year? That's the place to give your attention, rather than let it get like pulled off and split off into other places, which, talking about that, it'll be interesting to see what the avoid. Ah, interesting. Okay, so the avoid is actually 10 of water. So I already said that there's this big water energy that is coming in this cycle. 10 of water, 10 of cups. It's like very often is about like a completion and like this gorgeous kind of like happy family feel to it with the 10 of cups. But the fact that it's coming up in this avoid place, I feel like it's like saying, sometimes with the 10 of cups, there can be this tendency to, like the sort of shadow of the 10 of cups can be to almost like self-sacrifice for the family. It's like, for the family, you know, I'm doing this for the family, rather than for you, for the self. So it's kind of finding that way of differentiating ourselves from our like family unit, but also like not becoming like overwhelmed. But like look how this like flower, it looks like, is like coming off, it's like coming off the edge of the page. There's a lot of this emotional watery energy coming through, and I feel like it's sort of saying to us to try and find supportive, like, look, we've got this earthy energy that we should be focusing on, rather than focusing on the emotions and kind of letting them engulf us in a way, you know, which can happen sometimes, especially with Pisces, you know, when it's like there's no boundary to there's no edges to that emotional energy, and that can be overwhelming. So I feel like it's like finding that sense of self, that kind of core sense of self within and like a grounding, definitely focusing on like grounding activities, perhaps practical activities as well. Like I say, like actually doing stuff that is like what you thought you were going to do is going to help you to not get overwhelmed in this month of November. Okay, Yeah, so I will, like I said, I'll journal about these. I'll take a photograph of them and I'll stick the photo here, and then I will make some notes of what those energies were that came up. But I'm like, that's a nice set of cards for the month, isn't it? And I feel like that's very supportive energy in general for this month ahead, quite different from the cards that we had come out for October. So yeah, I'm curious, how are you feeling those? Does that look good? I'll share the photo that I take of them as well in the Discord, so if you are in a Discord community, then you'll be able to see the cards there as well. Okay, so let's move on to that last spread, which is the wild card spread. I mean, actually, I'm going to cut this edge. So we're nearly there. What? How long are we on to? 79 minutes. It's not too bad, actually. Sometimes these do go on for like 2 hours. And this is going to be quite quick, this one, because looking at this, like the astrology, I was thinking, I don't want to be like, I don't want people overstretching themselves. I feel like that can be the temptation in this month, is to like kind of do too much, feel too much, all of that kind of thing. But so I wanted an extra spread. If you want to use, like, you don't have to use this at all, but if you do want to, the idea of this spread, let me find it for you to share that with you. Okay, so it's a remembrance spread, and I did make, where's that gone? I want to show you I made like a frame that you can use if you want to. Yeah, here. So I've made this like frame, so I'm going to cut that. I'll cut that out and use that. So the idea is you can either use like 1 or 2 of these. You could print 2 frames if you wanted to. It's a space to hold. You know, we were talking about like that whole idea of like ceremony and how we don't necessarily have these rites to like mark these rites of passage and to mark it when people cross. You know, things like keening and stuff like that that are in some cultures. You just don't really hear of it anymore. And like, not in other cultures that you still do, but in Western culture in general, we don't have these rites of passage anymore, especially when somebody dies. And so it can be, I feel like it makes it more painful than it needs to be. Whereas when there is this transition, when we have like rites around our grief and things like that, it actually helps to hold us when we are grieving. And so what I'm kind of inviting you to do, if you want to, is to make a space to honor your beloved dead. And like, this might be family members, but it can just as easily be like pets. It could just as easily be like, even like, I often remember Ursula Le Guin on some of these, like when I do ancestor work, because her work has had such a big impact on my life. It's like she is an ancestor in a way for me, you know. So I'm not saying this has to be like literally family members that you've lost. Allow it to be whatever it is that you want. And you might want to just write names. You may want to write memories. You may want to write like stories about that person, or something you might want to say to that person. So that is the idea for this spread. I'm just going to, for me, I'm going to keep mine really, really simple. I'm going to just use this frame, and I think I'm just going to write names. And what I will do is spend time like with my ancestors. So I suppose what we're doing in effect is creating a kind of ancestor altar inside our journals. That is what we're doing. And then we can come to this, like if you don't have a physical ancestor altar, you can come to this journal ancestor altar to spend time, because November is very tied to the dead, cross-culturally, which like for me, I do definitely feel it. Like, it's become so cliche, that whole like the thinning of the veil and stuff like that, but it does feel a bit like that. I find November more so than October to be like that. So we've got that like sort of like liminal time where we can receive messages perhaps, and like that might be something that would be good to make space for in your journal as well. Like, you might find you'll have dreams where ancestors will come to you in your dreams. You can ask your ancestors to do that if that is something that you feel would be supportive to you. and just use the space to note those things down. Like this is obviously not huge, this this frame, although we're a bit too huge to fit. I'm going to have to trim it a little bit to fit on my, I'll take the edges off here. Yeah, this will be great. Yeah, very on point, Carol, with your ancestral study work that you're doing. Do you know, I think I'm going to put, so I don't want it to just be completely black and white, so I'm going to put a little bit of colour behind it. I'll put it down the bottom, and I'm going to use a coloured pen to write on the top of it. So like, you can take this as far as you want to take it. I hope that that's what you're getting from what I'm saying here. You can like just write names into it, and that is it, you know, like thinking about those people, remembering those people, or like I said, not just people, it can be other important beings in your life as well who have crossed. I'm going to write remembering my beloved dead on the top of here. Like that. I wonder if this black one will do it. Oh dear. Why are these lights not like that one? What's that one like? Oh yeah, this one looks good. Okay, so remembering my beloved dead. And then if I want to extend that out onto this page, then I totally can as well. And like I could put some colour in amongst this actually as well if I wanted to, although I kind of quite like how it has turned out there. So let me just flick back through so we can see what we've done, and I want to know how you guys are getting on. If you've been doing it with me, then please do share photos. Like you can share them on Instagram and tag me so I can see, or if you share them in Discord, I'll see them there as well. So we've got our introduction, and not our introduction, our setting up the tone for this month, which, yeah, that collage intention as we go into the month, and then the calendar, and then the astrology and the tarot, which, like I say, I need to finish that off, and then my wildcard spread, which this month is the beloved dead. So I hope that that has been fun and you've enjoyed hanging out with me while we do that. It's been nice to do it back here on YouTube. I wish I could have figured out how to do it in landscape mode rather than portrait, so I'm sorry about that, but yeah, thank you for being here. And like I said, share yours with me either on Instagram or on Discord, and I'll take a photo of those cards now actually and share those over in the Discord as well. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye, and I will see you very soon. I won't see you next week actually for here, because we're going to be having the live ritual next week. So if you would like to hang out with me next week, then come along and do that. Like I said, that's completely free as well. Yeah, thank you. How do I say goodbye? Let's have a look. Oh, I think I got it. Yes. Bye. Oh.